And we are super duper live. Okay, so today we are going to talk about my studio fire, and then also we are going to talk about this project that I'm going to just start taking pictures of, start labeling and numbering. I wanted to give you guys a kind of a good 3D view of each part because they're all kind of weird and funky. Give you a little explanation of what the part is. Then I'll be putting up these, taking pictures. And Instagram in my saved stories under Grody Shogun. And so then people will be able to look through each part. You could do a screenshot, or maybe, no, maybe I should just post them because you can post 10. So maybe I just post them just in regular, regular laid out pictures in the regular feed. I don't know. We'll see how that goes. So first, I want to talk a little bit about. I was in a fire. Look at me. I'm a part. I'm a piece that survived from the fire. So, as some of you may or may not know, I was engulfed in in a room that was on fire. I had two studios here in Koenji in Tokyo, and one of the studios I woke up to just engulfed in flames. And it was so intense and so jarring that I just got up and walked out. I saw the door was open. I got up and I just walked out of there. I didn't even I didn't grab my wallet. I didn't grab my passport. I didn't grab anything. I just got up and walked out. And that's fine. I got a clear, clean bill of health. I went to the hospital. There was a little bit of inhalation, but it was, nominal. I think I took some antibiotics and it was fine. But then the ripple effect of that was that subsequently I lost, it was the main space in which I was doing all of my wax and sculpting work. So I lost so much stuff. I lost a ton of stuff. I lost of my own stuff. I lost, 90% of my clothes. I lost 95% of my books, my toy collection, my tools that I used in sculpting, in wax, in silicone. I lost a lot of my sculpts, a lot of my own original sculpts. In fact, everything that I'm going to be showing today, this is probably like, I don't know, a third or a fourth of what I lost of my work. And the works were in either this sort of raw, and just these like loose sculpt forms that needed to be finished, but there was a ton of stuff that was already finished in wax, just waiting to go. A lot of times, if I get really busy or if the vinyl factory gets backed up, I'll push my wax projects back just to push my other clients' projects through. So there was just a ton of stuff that was just all done, ready to go. And I did lose a handful of sculpts, original sculpts from my clients that were also lost in the fire. There was sculpts that I had paid for, but they were licensed, that were finished and ready to go. There was original sculpts from other clients that they had done by themselves, or they had ordered another sculptor to do, and those sculpts were in there. And all that stuff just burned up. It was weird. I mean, in going through the ashes, I would find like random little parts or random little things. And what I would do is when I would find those parts or things of other people's that belonged to other people's sculpts, or, maybe it was a silicone mold, or maybe it was just a melted part or a charred part of one of those pieces that they had sent. And I would send them. And subsequently what happened is that as all those different guys would get it, they would immediately post on their Instagram or through their social media, look what I lost in the fire. And what I didn't realize at the time was that, I was reading, I'm not I haven't actually been officially diagnosed, but just in the research that I've done, I mean, that's um, there. I was just dealing with a lot of symptoms that were um, part of post traumatic stress, and constantly seeing all these pictures on Instagram, constantly seeing all these reminders of these guys that are like, "Oh, look at this thing that I lost." Um, what is this? Something came up. This thing is acting weird. I don't know if this is still doing live or what are you doing? Stop being weird, computer. I can't tell what's going on. I've never had this happen. Is it still recording live or not? Hmm, this is weird. Hmm. I can't tell. I guess it's been recording this whole time. Okay, technology. I don't know if this is. I don't know what this is doing. This is freaking me out. Okay, well, let's, I guess, try and keep going. And sorry for the interruption. Um, so to pick it up, yeah. So I was just kind of in dealing with all of my own issues and stress and stuff, and then seeing everybody posting all of their things that they had lost. It was really, it was taking its toll. It was definitely messing me up. But I've worked hard to process a lot of that stuff. Going to taking lion's mane mushroom, I think, has really helped. Exercising, getting out, doing, pushing myself to do all these sort of weird projects, do these things that I've been meaning to do, and always kind of pushed aside because of other customer stuff. Um, I will say a lot of customers were really great. A lot of guys really stuck with me. They really supported me, guys and girls. Um, really supported me, helped me out, gave us the time and space and energy that we needed to get it, not only ourselves back up and running, but then we also reached out and offered to replace all of those damaged sculpts. Some guys were like, "No, you know what? It's fine. I've moved on from that thing. I'm not out of pocket anything. Don't worry about it. Let's just pick up a project the next time we can." Some guys were like, "Yes, I want you to replace my thing. Let me know when it can be replaced." Other guys were like, "You don't have to replace that, but can I send you something else instead?" And so through all those different kinds of things we've worked through, we've just kind of one by one chipped away at them and replaced all that stuff. And so now what I really want to do, now that I've, I think done everything, or what we have done as a company, and have worked to get kind of just at zero, just at level. So um, that's what I would like to do with this project here that I'm going to talk about, which is, you know, let's push to get this stuff out. Let's push to get things done. Let's get things, get in where we fit in. So what I've done is, I'll jump into it. The project, what do we call it? Global Mashed Flotatoes. Global Mashed Flotatoes. And so it'll be broken up in different parts, numbered. You can go through, you can look at what numbers you want. There'll be a way where you send me your requests. Then I will go through, I'll compile all of them, and I will figure out which parts should go where, I'll put it in a box, I'll mail it out to you, and then from that point on, the project will then be in your hands. It'll be up to you to do whatever promotion you want to do for it. It'll be up to you to do updates, progress reports. So we'll do a hashtag of global mashed flotatoes, and in that hashtag, people will be doing their updates, letting people know, okay, I got the parts in, here's my idea, and just sort of walking through that whole process. And I think collectively as a community, we'll be able to see how, how stuff mashes together, how people work together, how ideas bounce off of other ideas, and then also see who, whose cuisine reigns supreme. So okay, well, let's jump into it. We're right at the 11 mark, so I got to remember to maybe put a note that says, "Hey, if you want to just look at the mashed potato stuff, jump in at around the 11-minute mark." So first off is heads, and what I'm going to do is break them up into groups of 4 and take pictures of them in their groups of 4, and then I'll upload them in those groups of 4. Okay, so we've got, let's see, I'm not sure what the lighting is. I tried to futz around with the lighting a little bit to make that a little bit easier. This looks a little bit of a reptilian head guy, round in shape, pulls from the bottom. There's a lot of blank space here, some detail carved in. Maybe you want to cover over this, maybe you want to build upon it. Maybe he's got a cloak over his head and it goes into some weird, snake sorcerer or something. I don't know. So that's going to be one. Let's see. Here's just a random blob of a blob. Couldn't be more blobbier than this blob of a blob head. Looks like there's an eyeball poking out. Maybe he's got a cheek sticking up. Some texture pushed in on the back. And that's here's a kind of a human little man head. Looks like kind of some regular proportions of what a man head is. I'm not sure what I was thinking of when I was sculpting this thing. Maybe just looking at like standard proportions or something. And here we have a little dog wearing a hat. Hat, dog, head. Quite small. It's probably about 1.5 inches. Little tiny dog head. Okay. So then I will take pictures of that. And then that'll be what? Ooh, I'm sure the sound is not great. I'm getting better prepared. Sorry. Okay, so we will do, I guess if I just put them in bags in their groups. Okay, so that's going to be group 1. I'm sure this is all. I should have sat down and figured this out a little bit more, but we're just winging it here. Okay, so we'll put there. So that'll be group 1. Okay. Next is, looks like some droopy bags. A head with a nose, a long mouth, some droopy bags under his eyes. It's probably about 2.5 inches. Okay, what do we got here? Let's see. So looks like this is the profile, nose. There's some little eyes in there, big cheeks. Maybe his mouth is kind of somewhere down in here, sort of a droopy dog looking, cartoony kind of guy. We'll do, let's see, here's a tiny little everyone's favorite. And we got, looks like a skull flame to me. Okay. So that'll be group 2. 2. Okay. I'm going to run out of bags. This is actually not a great system. Tape is here. Okay. That'd be awesome if I had an editor. It's just like, okay, cool. I'll just take this and edit it down into 2 minutes. It'll make perfect sense. Group 2. Here we go. It looks like there's a face there. There's a face on the side. There's a face there. It looks like there's some angry face back there. Kind of a cactusy looking thing. Here's some whittled face. Looks like the eye sockets. Maybe what is that? The muzzle of an animal. That's in profile. I've carved some texture into it, but again, who the fuck knows what that was? Okay, here's the rotating skull. Rotating skull. And of course, everyone's favorite bad boy, the original bad boy, little tiny blarf flam flam. Okay, so this will be group 3. No. Don't want that. I'm trying to keep the bags, like the sound of the rustling bags, as far away from the microphone so it's not too annoying, but I speculate it's going to be pretty annoying. 3. Okay, so I need to be able to talk and do this at the same time because then the pausing and the talking, those like pregnant pauses. It's got to be a better way. I feel like I'm doing a weird system, but here's some ghostly, ghoulish looking head. It's quite big. It's probably about like 4 inches or so. Maybe that's the head to something. Maybe it's the body of something. That could make a good body. So that's the head. Then there's another little, I don't know, horn looking kind of head, little horn ghosty head thing. I think it's also, the light's not going to be picking all this stuff up very well because it is solid white. Here's what looks like a little piggy guy. He's got some bulging eyeballs, a little piggy nose, little flapped up ears. It's probably about 2.5 inches or so. Here's what looks to be like a bird skull, maybe. Who the hell knows? Some of this stuff I remember kind of what I was thinking at the time. Some of the stuff I don't remember at all what I was trying to do. I think a lot of it though is, I mean, there's a lot of heads. There's mostly heads. I think because I just sort of like heads are kind of like an easy way to start if you're trying to figure out how to sculpt. You don't know what to do. Heads are always kind of an easy thing to do because they're formulaic. This is group 5. They're formulaic, so, heads are kind of generally this sort of shape. Eyes go generally this place. Nose goes sort of here. And I think by doing that, just kind of following those sort of basic things of recognizability or whatever, oh, I guess you could be something. I think also helps give you some idea of where you're hitting the mark, if you're hitting the mark or if you're not hitting the mark. Okay, let's keep moving on. Here is, not sure how well you can see, but it's 2 heads. There's a mouth and kind of like a beak or something. I think this one is just kind of like a mouth connected to a neck. So there's these 2-headed little thingy. Here's some. I don't even know what that guy is. He's a general Starfleet. I'm sure of it. He's like, I should probably just throw this thing away, but here's something where the eyeball, I didn't actually connect the part well enough, so the eyeball bulging out, popping off. Oops, I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know how to connect parts, pieces to pieces. So in this, the reason why anybody can work on this stuff is that once you get it wet, once you kind of soften up the surface area, you can add more paper clay to it. When it's dry, you can clear coat it and add Sculpey or Super Sculpey, epoxy. There's all different ways in which whatever molding, sculpting materials you use, you'll be able to take these parts and then, build upon them and however you see fit. Okay, here is, it looks kind of like some bird god. Maybe it's a bird god head with teeth sticking out, I guess. I'm guessing those are teeth. He's got some long bill or some beak. Yeah. Again, it is really funny to look through all this stuff and to see kind of what the hell were you thinking? What the hell was it? What were you trying to do? Walk me through your process. Walk me through what got you to doing this part. Because again, a lot of times when you're very first sculpting, you're just kind of what the hell should I sculpt? What the hell should I learn? What should I know how to do when I don't know how to do anything, So I think, or at least for me, I was constantly pulling ideas or images or shapes or anything from just something that I saw around me, or maybe it was an idea, and I just was like, okay, I don't know, is this a thing? All right, chugging along. Here's some little Charles Burns meets Thanos. Maybe that was Homer? I don't know. Ooh, here's a good one. That's a great head. Perfect, grade A, alien, noodly head, some eyes, some big noodly lips, some weird flower teeth or something. I don't even know what was going on there. I guess if it was upside down, maybe it could work as a body. Um, yeah, I'm guessing I was probably reading Hellboy, maybe. And then I'm not sure what. I think maybe there was ears that I cut off, or yeah. And then I've been finding a few of these. I guess I was like in sort of a chicken rooster phase. I don't know how well that'll show up, but like there's his beak right here, and then he's got some, little pompadour. And I guess he would have eyes somewhere in here. Where I'm a chicken, I guess. I did find like there were series where things like, oh, there's a bunch of chicken heads for some reason. And then I also found there's a bunch of these like little boy heads. Some have horns, some don't. And the boy heads, I think I had a sculpt of, or I had just a cute little boy head toy, a toy that had a cute little boy head on it. And so I wanted to try to recreate that cute boy head just on my own, in my own sculpting technique, in my own, just to see if I could like match it. And I couldn't. They're all fucked up. So here's the series of, let's see, there's Boy Head 1. Maybe it was left over from Hellboy. So he's like, love me. Here's Boy Head 2. It looks like I like sanded down his face for some reason, or like flat his eyes and cheeks. I don't quite know why, but that might be cool to just make a flat-faced boy box. Here's the just straight lace. Try to do it as normal as possible. Man, sculpting, I learned from doing this how difficult sculpting really cute stuff is. This shit is way, way harder than I thought. Oh, maybe this little boy head can go on this body. Okay. I'll keep this one to show you guys how we can look at the parts and then see where a part would fit on another part. So that's a good little segue. This is a barrel-chested body that goes into feet, and then there's two arms on each side, kind of like maybe a soldier standing at attention. And so a part like this is going to be in with all the body parts that I have separated. But then if you see a body part and you see a head part and you think, oh, maybe that might be cute to have like a cute little boy soldier standing at attention, some kind of, little precious moments thing. So I'll do that. I'll show you how to, once you get the two parts, or once you get whatever parts you pick, I'll show you how to then go in and, do whatever you need to do to get it to its finished stage. Here's another little boy head. This time I carved all of one side. Actually, it goes all the way through to his hair, and then just his little normal face. I think I started to carve some eyelashes in under the eyes, but that might be cool to do some sort of like Kikita, or like Pinocchio Kikita. So half wood, half carved wooden boy, half real boy, but done like in a cute Kikita style. That would be cool. If somebody wants that head and they're like, I got the perfect baby Kikita head, you're definitely getting that part. Let's see. Oh, I got more heads than are the four, but here's another just rando standard. I'm a little boy head. Look at me. Okay, so that's 8. I hope these are actually showing up somewhat. I hope I'm not just going to look back. I mean, it looks like when I look at it in the screen, it looks like you can see it, but then watch, I'm going to look back over this stuff and be like, man, you can't see shit. What the fuck was I doing? I don't know why all I have are these like giant bags too. Okay, so that is group 7 or group 8? This is group 8. I got a couple more baby heads, and then we'll go on to the weirder, monstery heads. Oh, I wrote on the wrong side. Group 8. Let's get it. I don't know if this project is going to work or not. I'm really curious to see how well this is received, to see if this is something that anybody actually wants to join in on, wants to get in on. I don't know. It's a great social experiment. Okay, so here's another standard baby head, boy head. As I said, I just was kind of, I think with these, I was thinking about like, there's like that image, that drawing from like the, Leonardo da Vinci did like, it's like a whole bunch of like hands or feet, and it's just him like crossing out each one. It's like, no, wrong, no, wrong. And like kept trying to do it over and over again. So I was trying to do this one thing over and over again as a way to give myself some framework of what the hell it was that I was like trying to do. Here's a big sad crying baby face. I wonder what would be better, the big crying baby face or the boy face? I don't know. Proportionally, I think that actually does kind of fit a little bit bigger. Although, you know, our jointing area is about the same, so we could actually do it. We could do different bodies for, do the same bodies and just have different heads for this one thing. So maybe I'll keep that aside just to further accentuate my point, I guess. Here's love me. Love me. It's like the various stages of like breakdown. All right, well, I can't keep taking all this, so I'm gonna put this one on there. Maybe here's another one. I think this was also probably a series where I was trying to do this like kind of crying baby face, and then just sort of carving detail into it or cutting into it. Again, I was just futzing around, just noodling around, you know, looking at what does it look like to put texture in? What does it look like to hand carve it in? What are the different sort of looks and feels and stuff? And just kind of futzing around, seeing what the different effects were, seeing what things looked like, because I really had no real framework or real idea or concept of the hell it was I was doing. I guess I probably don't even need to be taking pictures of these things. I have to number them to go through. No, never mind. I do need to take pictures. So from the pictures, I can go through, number, and I can take better pictures, better individual ones that are like all in order, right? I think that's how it'll work. Group 10, right? Group 8, group 9. Counting is hard. Okay. I hope this isn't horribly boring, but I needed to do this anyway. I don't have a bunch of time. I needed to get my daily hours. So I hope this isn't cheating by doing this sort of slower, boring, uninteresting work. Okay, here's another, looks like kind of a Charles Burns sort of head. Got the bugged out eyeballs. Here is, I assume, is my attempt at doing a Zagorong. Figure that was made by a handful of different companies here in Japan. Everybody's done it to varying degrees of success. Some guys are more known for it than others. Here is, I think, a take on the Lulubelle Oni logo. I probably was trying to do the Lulubelle Oni logo, but this gets much more baddie guy than Oni guy, but I think that's sort of where I was going with that. And some flat-topped head, mushed mouth, goober guy. So there you have that one. 10. That's group 10. I think I've got a handful of more heads. There's a bunch of stuff. And like I said, this is only this is like a fourth of the stuff that I lost. The thing that like really sucks about all the stuff that I lost was that there was like so much of it, and they were all finished. They were all ready to go. They were like in wax with joints, just sitting in a box, waiting to be like waiting for the time, the free time that they could go out and not jam up anybody's projects or slow anything up. So that's 10. I've got, maybe we'll just do these in groups. So maybe I'll just do this head one, and then I'll do the body one, and then we'll see if I can figure something else out a little bit better. Like this is just a profile head. It looks like it would pull from the back of the face. So it would need to match up with something that comes out this way or comes this way. But I like this part. It's got a lot of little character in there, got a lot of expression. So I think that's kind of easy to see what's happening. There's one that's a little bit, there's expression in there, but it's much looser. You can tell in the very beginning he just wasn't confident with like putting in detail or following things through really to see where they went. It was just kind of like, is this are you an eye? Is this doing an eye? I don't know what I'm doing. Here's another really good expressive kind of face. This guy's got a ton of character. So I think he would be really great for somebody who already has has some idea. Maybe this head can fit. I mean, you don't have to, if you want to do like the whole body, if you want to do everything else out, you can just use the one part. But if there's some other parts that looks like this head might fit somewhere on some other body, I'm not quite sure how we would really figure that out, though. I kind of like this, where he's so far back and the head's leaning back. So then he's just this guy that's like flying through the air. That's kind of funny. I do like the idea of making stuff that is just such a weird form, such a weird, like, non-traditional type figure. Okay, here's a little, I think here's another kind of Charles Burns sort of, I'm a mole guy. It's pretty basic. You could go in and carve in, a ton of detail. You can add in folds and wrinkles. bumps and blobs. Put in detail in the hair if you want, or maybe, you know, you feel like this guy needs a hat. Maybe you want to sculpt stuff and then sculpt a hat on him. Who knows? Okay. So, I think I'm almost done with heads. Almost. I should have just yeah, that's what I'll do next time is I'll write down group 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I'm not doing them one by one. Look at that, we're learning. He's evolving. 11. If you guys are seeing anything that you see where I could be improving upon my system, let me know. Okay, here's a one-eyed, open mouth, large browed head thingy frowner. I'm a gentle giant, maybe, or a dickhead. Who knows? Some just weirdo face. And I went ham on it and started carving into it randomly. All willy-nilly. Rando guy. Oh, here we go. Here's a little kind of loked out, vatoed out, kind of fishy looking dude with a beanie on his head. Not quite sure what I was thinking. I might have been thinking something like Alien Homies, if I remember right. But here's just a little standalone little head thingy. I could just pull this as one little part, just a random little one-part head thing. All right, I'll do that. Well, let's find another head. Oh, here's, I think this is a Grumpy Mount Fuji. Or Grumpy Mountain. Perhaps. Or perhaps you see something else. Okay. That's 12. I'm going to do... I think I'm actually going to stop here. I have a few more, but they're more, you can't really see too well what they are. I want to see if I can improve upon the system as well. You may not know. Well, no, we'll do 13. Here's a profile of another cute little boy. Random little happy boy and a happy boy profile. It would be cool to do this as like those, maybe those little stickers the thing that has a suction cup on the back and it sticks on glass and it's just this little like, oh. Maybe he's a little devil or. Oh, here's either Big Bird, which I don't think I was sculpting. I think I was trying to sculpt a seahorse. I think this is a seahorse head. That was my guess, but looking at it now, definitely got a pretty strong Big Bird vibe. Here's a good little shucks guy. He's got his teeth bucking out. He's got his bugged out eyes. He's got a little sort of looking up to the skies, forlorn. There's a lot of just detail and lines from the paper clay drawing. Okay, this one, I think I was trying to do a hooded hawk or like a hooded falcon. I think I was looking at like falconeers or like Mongolians or something like that. So I think that's a hooded bird. Okay, so group 13. Group 13. Okay, so then what I'll do is I'll take pictures of all of these in their numbers and in their order, and then I'll put the pictures up onto Instagram, and then from Instagram people can look through what parts they want, what parts they don't want. So I guess I'll just do this wave of heads first. Uh-oh, I lost a head. Never mind, I found it. I'll do this wave of heads first, see if that makes sense, or see if it's just like totally fucking people up. Again, if anybody has any better suggestions or anything you see I'm doing that just doesn't make any damn sense at all, as is per sort of usual. But yeah, just let me know. Let me know what jumps out at you. Here's a good. I like this guy's head. He's a little. I'm a happy little guy. I'm really excited on the idea of. Look at this guy. That guy's pretty awesome, actually. This guy would go really good on this piece that I found, I think. Would he go good? Maybe he needs like a thicker, wider neck or something. But I'm really excited about the idea of people trying this stuff out, doing this stuff, working within the community at large. I want to give people this sort of seed or this little push into sculpting whatever figure it is they see or they can think up of. From with that, my biggest concern, my biggest worry is that it's a little bit too nebulous or too hard for people to wrap their brain around. It's kind of like, I'm reminded of like those cooking shows where they're like, okay, here's a bunch of dumb bullshit, make a gourmet meal. And people are like, that's impossible. That's really my biggest concern. But hopefully if people can see the stuff, if they can get some idea from it, they can get it in hand, they can see how the material works, and they can work from that. And then just using this stuff as kind of like that core, that center core in whatever the final finished product is then built out from, sculpted out from. I hope that that's something that happens. I hope we can figure out how to do that, how to make that work. I'm nervous. I'm cautious, but again, I keep doing all this like weirdo stuff that I'm sure that there is a much simpler system for doing this. I'm sure there's a much easier way for doing this, but I just don't know what the fuck it is. So to me, this is seems like the most streamlined, easiest way to figure out how to at least get this idea across. But oftentimes I find that my ideas are a bit too nebulous or just a bit too sort of blobby, and it's hard for people to connect all of the dots. So I need to figure out some way to maybe streamline that a bit, or just try to make sure that everything's buttoned up well enough so that it's kind of, connects all of the dots. Hopefully, once everything's all in place, people will be like, oh, maybe this little weird butt leak thing, maybe that little crying baby goes on the little butt leak, and he's like, but also, maybe you see the butt leak and you go, oh, it needs some tail coming out, or oh, it needs some, needs some arms coming out from here. Oh, I need to do the feet. You need to change it to not a leak at all. I do have a couple parts that I found that are like, I found a body and legs. I was just trying to figure out like jointing or like how like legs turn and stuff, like a kind of teddy bear, sit down teddy bear thing. So maybe somebody wants to work on doing this little legs, little teddy bear guy. Um, I found this guy. It's just super wonky. I mean, I like the idea of a little hula gorilla, and maybe I'll go back to that at some point and try to sculpt a hula gorilla. This was my first attempt at sculpting a little hula. I don't even know if maybe it was. I think I was thinking gorilla at the time, just with that sort of general form. He needs his arms. It would be cool if his arms were jointed at the elbow so they could both raise above his head and also kind of, pivot like this. So maybe he can hula dance or he can do something weird with that. So if there's somebody out there that wants to finish up the hula gorilla, I got hula gorilla on deck. Found this other one. It's a little sort of oni, carved wooden head looking oni little boy. I think this was probably along the same time that I was doing those other little boys. And I had sculpted this skeleton. And I remember were separate when I had originally done them, but then looking at them together at that time, I was like, oh yeah, that would be cool to have the flesh of the head and maybe the arms then go into either skeleton arms or maybe one is a skeleton arm, one's a fleshy arm, or I don't know. I just broke a toe bone. Oops, sorry to whoever takes this thing. There's -1 toe bone now. My bad. I found the weird psychotic Ralph Steadman disgusting bird. He's got all the eyes bugging out, beak. He's got a real unflattering, gross body. I think it's backwards. Gross, unflattering body, lumpy legs. Maybe this is the guy for you. Maybe that's the one you want to work on. Love me. So those are head and body. That might help people too, that if they can see, oh, okay, well, if I just give it feet and arms and some futz around in the chest or something, maybe that'll work. Other than that, like I've got these stuff too. There's the Frankenstein kind of torso. I've got a couple Frankenstein torsos. There's another super derpy Frankenstein torso. These might be cool to just do as one part figures and then people can paint on them. Here's the much more caveman-y Frankenstein. And then, of course, Jesus caveman. So I guess maybe if I also break these up into other groupings, that might help as well. I'm gonna watch this video back just to see what are the things that annoy the shit out of me. I'm pretty sure that big long pause where my laptop was like, I'm a black screen. Am I recording? Am I not recording? And I'm like, it'd be funny if I just started picking my nose during then because I thought the camera was off. Here's broken. It got all smushed in, but it's still kind of cool in that way. Some Ralph Steadman looking eyeball creature thing with a hat and all smashed in. I don't know if this is gonna work, you guys. I'd be so stoked if it did. I mean, I really would love to see this be something that that we all can participate in, and then just all collectively see as it morphs, as it moves, as it zigs and zags. See what becomes of these projects. I think just kind of like getting stuff. I'm cleaning everything out. I'm trying to push through the space here to make it more streamlined. And so a lot of this stuff is just these projects that I would love to just sit down and one by one knock them all out. But I have so much of those projects that are one by one knock them out. Also, I figure one of the things that was kind of jumped in my mind is because we paid to replace sculpts that other people lost, those sculpts now are not the original sculptors, that original brand's original sculpt. It's another person's sculpt of their original sculpt. So I feel like if I were to, let all this stuff go out and have other people work on it, that in line is also, I'm sharing in the burden as a toy brand of having figures released that are not sculpted by the creator, which I think is fine. I mean, I know some people it's weird about like how people get worked up in different categories of like, well, I like this artist, I collect his stuff, he didn't sculpt that one, so I don't collect that. I mean, it's fine, I get it, people pick and choose, and especially when there's so much stuff coming out, you really have to kind of focus in or look more closely at what it is that you're collecting. So I get that there's selectiveness, but it's kind of funny how it'll be like people will be so dismissive of stuff that's like, well, it's not 100% from that guy, so fuck it, whatever, I'm over it. It's like, yeah, but that guy and that other guy worked together. That girl and that girl worked together. All of them people got together, did their shit, and came up with this synergistic thing. I wonder if I should have used synergistic in the word. No, that's too. I like this global mashed flotado. Yeah, if you put synergistic in there somewhere, it'd be, it's not good. No, we'll keep it weird. All right. So hopefully this will, I don't know, man. I'm crossing my fingers. Hopefully this will work. I'm going to work on, I guess I'll do the pictures and then try to upload those and see if that makes any sense. And then if people go through this, and if any of you watching this, anything makes sense, anything you like, anything you don't like, let me know. Leave a comment and all of that good stuff. I'm trying to think, is there anything else? I am gonna work on these hands. I found a bunch of hands. It seems like when I sculpt stuff, I kind of sculpt stuff in sort of like different sizes, different amounts, different variations. I like doing that, actually. I like sculpting and resculpting stuff, especially if it's an idea that I like. If it's a concept or something that I find interesting, and I'm not getting it right in the first one, I'll just stop that sculpt, and I'll start over on another sculpt and just, instead of putting all of my time and energy and effort into this one thing that could be just, it could be all fucked up at its core, and you're just not seeing it for whatever reason. And so by doing it in all those other iterations, it kind of helps you sort of make those more deeper core tweaks. Again, that also depends on how you sculpt too. If you're sculpting from stuff that is really hard to change, really hard, it's super, super precise. I would say try working in this rough stuff first and do it a handful of times, and that'll give you a better idea of the shape and form. That'll help you see kind of, um, what areas you like, what areas you don't like, what looks like problem areas, what looks like it'll be okay. And I think also I make a lot of changes as I go too. I mean, there's ideas that I have in the very beginning of a project, and I'll put it in, and the idea just doesn't match up with all the other stuff that I want to do for whatever reason. Maybe it looks too cluttered, or it just bulks it out in a way that doesn't fit right, or something else. And so, there's that editing process as you're going, as you go through those stages, and especially if you sculpt it and resculpt it and resculpt it, there's definitely a ton of editing as you do it in those different iterations. That really helps you, like, figure out which are the things that you really like because you've seen them carry through all those different iterations. It helps you see what was the stuff that you're just fighting on, that you try to sneak in here, try to fit in another way, and it just doesn't seem to fit or it doesn't seem to work. And especially in looking at them all kind of laid out, you're like, okay, all right, I get it. Spatially, volume, as far as like the overall look and idea, now I get it. So hopefully, working with this paperclay stuff can help you work loose, work fast, work out ideas. If you like what you're doing, if you like the direction that that form is going, of course, you can really sit down and use that rough sculpt and really geek it out, go back in, clean it up, carve in your deeper lines, build out stuff that needs to be a little bit bigger. Um, you can really play with that sort of depth of field of what that part is that you're looking at. So let's see how it goes. I'm excited. I hope you're excited. Let me know if you guys have any better ideas, of which I am certain you do. Be sure to get at me. Let me know how I can improve upon this. I'm not great with systems. I gotta figure them out. I gotta get better at systems. So I thank you. Hula Hoop Gorilla thanks you. Thanks, everybody. Oh, and now he's dead. That'd be funny if it was actually like on a spring, so he could actually be like a real Waikiki gorilla. Maybe he's holding a ukulele. Okay, well, thank you everyone for watching this. Thanks for bearing with me on an hour of what I think is probably the most boring rambling, but let's see. Let's see how that goes. All right, I did my hour. I'm out. Thank you, everybody, and have a wonderful, wonderful, kick-ass day and evening for at least the next 24 hours until you hear my voice again. And if you don't hear it after that, I don't hope you have a great day. I hope that the day is just average.